What's up everybody, Zacky here from Geek Culture, and this is the battle of the flagship smartphones, the Huawei P40 Pro Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G. You guys know what to do, roll the thing! Today, we have two amazing flagship smartphones from Huawei and Samsung, and they are the Huawei P40 Pro Plus and the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G. Both represent the best of each company's smartphone lineup. Both are packed with features and hardware, and we're here to help you make a sense of it all. The Samsung S20 Ultra needs no introduction, as it is the jewel of Samsung's smartphone lineup. It is an amalgamation of top-of-the-line hardware thrown on a spec sheet and transformed into a phone. First announced back in March 2020 alongside the P40 and the P40 Pro, the diamond of Huawei's flagship series, the P40 Pro Plus, is finally ready for its grand debut. And as Huawei's crown jewel in its P series, it also represents the best of smartphone photography. The difference is also that the P40 Pro Plus has upgraded its optical telephoto camera from 5 times to 10 times. This brings the P40 Pro Plus to have a total of 7 camera modules, and aesthetic differences with a new ceramic back and frame. The nanotech ceramic, as Huawei calls it, is similar to the ceramic material seen in high-end wristwatches and even the Apple Watch. This material has been proven to be more durable and more scratch resistant than the S20 Ultra's glass. The ceramic back does have a gentle and smooth feel to the touch. It also strikes perfect balance with look and feel. It really does sell as an elegant and classy looking phone. Holding on to these two devices here, you can visibly tell that the S20 Ultra is the bigger device. It's even larger than Samsung's own Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Surprisingly, despite the P40 Pro Plus having a smaller footprint, it still weighs 226 grams, which is 6 grams heavier than the physically larger S20 Ultra. Though the margin is indeed small, this does give the Huawei P40 Pro Plus a certain heft when holding it. In terms of design, both devices stick to the tried and tested. Curved edges, slim profiles, with both offering a firm grip when held in your hands. We also see both manufacturers improve on their previous models with a glass sandwich design and one feature that has fast become a standard: a huge camera bump on the rear. Folks who are interested in the Huawei P40 Pro Plus can either choose from the white or black version. That being said, the white version does kinda keep your fingerprints out of the way. For the S20 Ultra, you do get it in Cosmic Grey or Cosmic Black, and we would love to see more coloured variants coming from the S20 line, like the Cloud Blue or Cloud Pink. It is also, unfortunately, a fingerprint magnet, and you can expect yourself to see a lot of smudges at the back of the phone. And the S20 Ultra's huge camera bump really protrudes out from the device, especially if you lay on a flat surface. The S20 Ultra takes the cake here for having one of the most gorgeous looking displays ever seen on a smartphone. With a resolution of 3200 by 1440 and a maximum refresh rate of 120Hz, this 6.9-inch AMOLED panel is something that Samsung would only manufacture for themselves. It also supports HDR10+ with compatible source material. A quick point to note here is that the 120Hz refresh rate only works with 1080p resolution instead of a full 1440p. The P40 Pro Plus seeks more balance with its 2640 by 1200 resolution and 90Hz refresh rate. The P40 Pro Plus has a slightly smaller screen, coming in at 6.58 inches diagonally, and on the other hand does not go to the extreme with its numbers. This decision was probably made with a consideration that a larger and higher res screen would take a big hit on battery life. The high refresh rates on these displays are very noticeable, and once you do get used to it, a regular 60Hz display would seem really sluggish in comparison. Moving on to hardware, this is a quick spec rundown of both phones. We see the Snapdragon 865 or Samsung's own Exynos 990 chipset on the S20 Ultra. 16GB of RAM on the S20 seems to be overkill for most, but the S20 Ultra is not for most people. The extra memory space serves to allow the user to keep background apps open for multitasking. And there's even an option to pin up to 3 apps that never close in the background. This is really useful for power users who are working through their smartphones on the go. In terms of storage capacity, the S20 Ultra comes with 128GB of internal storage with expandable memory via microSD up to 1TB. Paired with the Kirin 990 chipset, the Huawei P40 Pro Plus chugs a lot of speed even under heavy load. While the P40 Pro Plus makes do with 8GB of RAM, this should be plenty and more practical for the regular user. The Huawei P40 Pro Plus packs a punch with an octa-core processor, and the Mali G76 graphics unit handles almost all apps without breaking a sweat. Combined with the 90Hz display, the P40 Pro Plus gives mobile gamers an immersive experience when playing fast-paced games such as Asphalt 9 or Fortnite. While the P40 Pro Plus comes with 512GB of internal memory and expandable memory via Huawei's proprietary nano memory card up to 256GB. Now we've come to the most valued and important feature. 100 times space zoom. Ultra Vision Leica Penta Camera. The cameras on these phones play a huge part of their marketing, and it's easy to see why. The P40 Pro Plus here sports one of the largest smartphone camera sensors, measuring in at 1/1.28 inches. In other words, more natural bokeh. The P40 Pro Plus has a total of 5 cameras on the rear, paired with a time-of-flight sensor. The combination of these 5 cameras will be able to give you a focal range from ultra-wide to 10 times optical zoom and 50 times digital zoom. On the front of the P40 Pro Plus, there is a single selfie camera and a depth sensor as well for more secure biometrics. We also see pixel binning happening here on the P40 Pro Plus, with its 50 megapixel sensor to also produce by default 12 megapixel images. Of course, you will be able to turn on the high-res mode to obtain the full 50 megapixel image. We see Huawei's night mode here as well, and they have really been the ones to pioneer the technology and implement night mode into smartphone cameras. This mode of course works best when you have the phone on a stable platform like a tripod or a tabletop, as how it works is it essentially takes multiple exposures of the scene and combines them together automatically. The video capabilities of the P40 Pro Plus hits a maximum of 4K resolution at 60 frames per second from both the rear and front cameras. The optical image stabilization kicks in when shooting, and it really helps with shaky hands or shooting while walking. There's also a whole selection of different camera modes such as monochrome, HDR, light painting, and even documents mode, which can be used as a file scanner. 2 of these additional modes are really interesting. The first would be the dual view mode, which lets you shoot video with both the standard and telephoto cameras at the same time. The other will be the super slow motion mode, which can shoot a short video clip at up to 256 times slower than real life. This can bring about some really impressive stuff if you are using it correctly. It is also recommended that this mode be used with a lot of light, as it is shooting at a really high frame rate. Counting the depth sensor on the rear. The S20 Ultra sports a total of 5 cameras, 1 selfie camera, 1 standard, 1 ultra-wide, and 1 periscope telephoto. All these specs look really impressive on paper. Dissecting each individual feature, we will see that these huge numbers are mostly marketing gimmicks. Now, that's not to say that the S20 Ultra's photo and video capabilities are moot, because they are not. As mentioned earlier, the Samsung sees a mishmash of the biggest numbers possible. 108 megapixels, 100 times zoom, and 8K video recording capability. A better analogy would be akin to owning a supercar, which has a max of 300 kilometers per hour. Which has a max speed of 300 kilometers per hour. You probably won't be driving at that speed anyway, nor is it practical too. But a higher upper limit also means that it can do everything lower than that more comfortably. compared to say an ordinary car that can only go 200 kilometers per hour. The rear cameras work together to give the user a focal range from ultra-wide to 5 times optical zoom and digital zoom all the way to 100 times. That being said, the photos from the S20 Ultra are great when shot in good light, with Samsung's trademark characteristics of increased vibrancy and saturation. Images are sharp with plenty of details. In lower light conditions, we see digital noise start to creep into the image significantly due to its high pixel density. While the software will try its best to denoise the final JPEG file, sometimes it will end up as a splotchy mess. However, this is something you will see in all smartphone cameras, and it's not unique to just the S20 Ultra. On the front, the S20 Ultra makes do with a single 40 megapixel selfie camera without additional depth sensors. It will produce 10 megapixel images by default and has a wide enough field of view to accommodate group selfies. The image quality from the front camera is rather impressive, and there's even an option to turn off any beauty or skin smoothing effects here. A glaring issue with the main camera on the S20 Ultra is its autofocus, which is surprisingly inconsistent. This was an issue that plagued the phone upon its launch, and even after multiple firmware updates, the problem has not totally gone away. It is most prominent when either taking photos of the nearer object or during video recording where it needs you to constantly point where to focus at instead of tracking or changing focus as the scene changes. Comparing these cameras, we see that the Huawei P40 Pro Plus has a longer optical focal range as compared to the Samsung S20 Ultra. The P40 Pro Plus has a focal range from ultra-wide to 10 times optical zoom, which as of this video is the longest optical zoom range ever seen on a smartphone. This is all thanks to its ingenious periscope camera technology, which Huawei has constantly been improving on. The S20 Ultra also uses the same periscope camera technology, but it has a much shorter focal range of ultra-wide to 4 times optical zoom. A combination of hybrid zoom and digital zoom takes over to provide up to 100 times zoom on both phones. Comparing the two, you can clearly see that the longer optical range of the P40 Pro Plus gives it a cleaner and sharper image at ranges of 5 times and 10 times zoom. While the S20 Ultra, which only has an optical zoom of 4 times, starts to compensate by relying on its high megapixel sensor to edge in details on faraway objects. However, when it comes to the full 100 times zoom, the mighty end of their zoom ranges, results from both phones are rather muddy and subpar. Our stand on this feature is that the 100 times digital zoom is more of a novelty feature and a proof of concept. Users can also expect to have a lot of trouble handling the stability at 100 times zoom on both phones, and even with a tripod, it's still hard to get the subject in frame and stable. But we do have to say, it's a great party trick and a conversation starter. The P40 Pro Plus loses out here on battery capacity, with a 4200 mAh battery compared to the massive 5000 mAh battery in the S20 Ultra. These huge capacities are more or less mandatory to power the hardware that these bad boys are packing. However, in terms of day-to-day usage, you'll not see a huge difference in battery life, nor will running out of juice ever be a problem. Both of these phones have more than enough battery life to last you an entire day. With the higher refresh rate on the S20 Ultra, there will be a higher drain on the bigger battery, which effectively cancels out the larger capacity. Both of these are ready for fast charging, and the P40 Pro Plus comes with a 40 watt fast charger right out of the box. The S20 Ultra unfortunately does not, and the 45 watt fast charger would have to be purchased separately. Wireless fast charging is also enabled on both devices, with 15 watt wireless charging on the S20 Ultra and the blazing fast 40 watt fast charging capability on the P40 Pro Plus, which is already faster than normal wired charging solutions. The P40 Pro Plus and the S20 Ultra both support reverse wireless charging with the ability to charge other phones and accessories such as wireless earbuds and smartwatches, as long as they support the Qi wireless standards. On-screen fingerprint readers are seen on both of these phones, Although they use different technologies, the Samsung sees an ultrasonic reader, while the Huawei uses optical technology. However, in daily use, both of them are equally quick to unlock the device. Face Unlock is also available on both phones, and again, the two do it slightly differently. The Huawei has a depth sensor on the front for more accurate face mapping, while the S20 Ultra is still using a single camera for visual matching. Both phones are 5G ready, but users will only enjoy them when 5G networks are introduced where you live. Users can definitely expect blazing fast data speeds once it rolls out. Both Samsung and Huawei are running Android 10 with their respective skins over them. Samsung's One UI has constantly been improving from its TouchWiz days, but recently it has been relapsing to incorporate more bloatware into the system, such as its Bixby incorporation and Samsung Daily. Huawei's EMUI 10 is a rather clean installation of Android, sprinkled with a bunch of Huawei apps and some interface additions such as gestures. Huawei has Cilia, which is its version of a voice-activated assistant. How useful this will be though, remains to be seen. The Huawei app gallery has a decent catalogue of apps, including more sensitive apps such as internet banking and investment apps. For the majority of popular apps, such as Facebook, WhatsApp and Telegram, you'll find them on the Huawei. It's the little known apps though, such as photo editing apps like Photoshop, or even games like Call of Duty Mobile, that require some effort to install. Of course, there is also the option of downloading APK files off the web into your phone. However, we wouldn't recommend that because that is a riskier option. There is a neat built-in phone clone app, which duplicates all your apps from your existing phone, able to work on both Android and iOS phones. With the P40 Pro Plus, Huawei has also launched its very own search tool, the Pedal Search. It gives users an alternative way of accessing a wider range of apps from multiple sources to download on their phone. According to Huawei, the app was created in partnership with global search engine leaders and serves to ensure users get the latest information from aggregated apps, news, movies, and more. The app is also available and can be found in the app gallery or installed together with the latest phone software update. The elephant in the room is Huawei's lack of access to Google services, which is a huge consideration for someone who is interested in the Huawei P40 Pro Plus. While you are still able to get Google Maps from the phone clone app, Google Chrome from Pedal Search, and Gmail via the native email app, folks might still find this a tad too tedious and technical. The Huawei P40 Pro Plus and the Samsung S20 Ultra are already available for purchase, and both are at identical prices of 1,898 Singapore dollars. The Samsung S20 Ultra does offer a little bit more value, and we gotta give props to Huawei for making a smartphone that competes with Samsung's Flagship in all grounds. So, is the S20 Ultra greater than the sum of all its exaggerated parts? It has proved that it can manufacture a super smartphone. But Samsung's track record of assuming powerful hardware is enough to create a stellar product still shines through. With the P40 Pro Plus, Huawei has shown that balance is needed, and that they have toed the line really well. The only downside is that people who are interested in the P40 Pro Plus may have to take extra steps to get the desired apps that they want. But the P40 Pro Plus is definitely a smartphone that checks all the right boxes. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it and probably had a better understanding of what both of these phones can do. And until then, this is Zacky from Geek Culture, signing off.